Hey guys, I hope you're having a really good day. We're going to talk today about how to measure human bones. We know that from looking over the past several hundred years that if you know the length of some of the long bones, then you can figure out, estimate the height of the victim, which would really help narrow things down if you had a body and you knew how long the femur was, and then you had a list of missing persons. And you could say, oh, well, that femur said that that person was 5'4"-ish. And I have this missing person over here that's measured about 5'5". Maybe they're the same person. You can connect them up. So that's why victim height is super important. So we're going to learn some new things, and I want you to write them down as I go. Have this note sheet out, how to measure human bone length. That should already be in Google Classroom for you to use. You're just going to type right into it as I go along. If you need to press pause, feel free to do that. Watch it as many times as you need to. I'll try to let you know, hey, here's where we're going to write something down. Okay, so a protuberance is a word that just means a bump. And for our purposes in forensic science, we're specifically talking about a bump on a bone. Okay, so a protuberance, bump on a bone. Okay, so for each bone I have here, I have a picture, and these are all oriented top to bottom, top to bottom. Okay, so when I talk about top and bottom, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's a humerus. This is the top, the ball, and it goes right here. Okay, and so you're going to start measuring from the top of the ball to the point farthest away, all the way down. Now, this little guy right here, ooh, I'm having a hard time pointing. See how it's longer than everything else? That's called the protuberance, so we're not going to measure that. Okay, so we're going to measure from the top of the ball down to kind of the middle part, because those are the things that contribute to length. This just is a connector, this little guy. Okay, so that's how we measure the humerus. Okay, next is the femur. This is the big bad boy. This is how you do it. This is actually a right femur. Okay, it's the big guy. So we're going to measure from the top of the ball, again, because that contributes to height, to the place on the bone that is the farthest away. So here there's not really a protuberance, okay? So we want the part that contributes to the height of the victim. So you're going to go from the ball to the farthest part away, okay? So that's how you do the femur. Then we're going to measure on the radius. Here it is, okay? The radius is like this. We're going to measure from the top of the circular end. See how it's a circle? Like the radius, get it? Like of a circle in geometry. We're going to measure from the top of that, from the circular end to the flat end. Okay? To the flat end. See, it's kind of flat on the bottom-ish. But don't include the protuberance. This is a little pointy. Don't include the pointy protuberance. It's a pointy one. Okay, so that's the radius. And then on the ulna, oops, this one's not right side up, but this is the top, because think about this. This is your elbow. Okay, that's the, right here, the elbow, so this is the top. So on this one, you're going to measure from the top of the elbow end, to the bottom of the bone. Okay, but there is, again, this little pointy protuberance. So don't measure the pointy protuberance. It's going to go to the flat place. Okay, this is actually these little bones out here. Ouchie. Have you ever banged yourself with those? Yeah. And you banged it against the table. Okay, and then the next bone we're going to do is the tibia. This is your shin bone. Okay, and so here's the top. Okay, so we're going to measure from the flat part of the top. So if you look here, there's these kind of sticky outy things that connect to your femur and your patella. Okay, so we're just going to measure from the flat part to the flat place on the opposite end. Okay, so it's really nice and flat on that end. Okay, but guess what? We're not going to include we're not going to include this ridge on the top or the protuberance on the bottom. So don't include this ridge part. Oh, I feel like I can't point at it. Okay, we're just doing this, and we're not going to do this. Okay, so that's the tibia. So we're going to don't include the ridge on the top or the protuberance on the bottom. And then last but not least, and the one you're not going to confuse the names of, is the fibula. Fibula. Remember? Tibia, fibula. Don't get those confused. So this little guy goes like this. So you can see it almost as it comes to a point on the end. Okay, so we're going to measure from the flatter place. There's a flatter place up here on the top. I don't know if you can see it right here. Kind of a flattish place. On the top to the very point on the end of the bottom. There's no great way to measure this. This is kind of a little protuberance here, but there's no other way to really, as long as we all do it the same way, it should be okay. So we're going to go from the flat place on the top to the bump on the bottom. It's kind of, but we're not going to include the protuberance on the top. Okay, so we're going to go, there's a protuberance here on the top, but we're just going to start from the flat place. So don't include the protuberance on the top. Okay, so go back and watch that as many times as you need to. And so we're going to use this information to start measuring bones. Okay, now when you're ready to measure, you're going to get your yardstick or meter stick or whatever. And here's how I want you to do it. You're going to take your bone and set it on your table. Okay, this is a table, pretend. Okay, take this. Okay, and you're going to take your pen or pencil on the table and just mark where the longest end is like that. Just right on the table with your pencil. And then go and do the same thing on the other end. And then you can just measure between your marks. So that should be the best way to do that. Just be sure and erase the table if you can. All right, so I hope that's helpful to you. And I'll see you on Monday. Bye.